Well guys, we got all these new fresh parts for the Charger. The tube front control, or the tube front K-member, and the cool motor mounts for the Hellcat motor, and these control arms and the spindles and the shocks and all that stuff, and the Willwood brake kits front and rear, and then we got the rear triangulated forelink and stuff. So I think today, we're going to start trying to get some of this hooked up on the car. We're going to try to get this bolted on the car so we can start doing some mock-up. This kit comes with pretty good instructions, and I've kind of read ahead on some of the instructions, and there's some stuff we got to do to the car first and foremost. Okay, like I said, we're going to have to drill out some spot welds. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a Sharpie and I'm going to mark these and figure out what size drill bit I need to take care of these. Now I don't want to drill all the way through, but you can see I've marked these with a Sharpie, so I'm going to get a drill bit and start drilling these out because we've got to take off all of this. So I'm going to start with an 1/8 inch drill bit, and I'm going to pilot drill all these holes first. Now I'm going to go with a 1/2 inch drill bit. My goal is not to drill all the way through, but to just weaken the spot welds. So and it's a brand new bit, so it's fighting me. And of course my battery's dead. I'll put the big one on. And you can see what those look like after you've drilled them. And I may have to go in and, well, I'm going to weld those holes up and fill in any of the divot there and grind it off smooth. But that's about these are really big spot welds compared to what you would normally see on something like this, you know, that are like, they're like that size. You know, these are huge, and it's because they're on a thicker bracket, so. And I'm going to take the old trusty Craftsman screwdriver here and see if I can, yep, pop these guys loose. And they're popping right loose, so that's cool. Let's see here. Get back behind this one. I may need to get a hammer. See if I can. Yep. Some of these may need to be drilled a little bit more because I definitely don't want to put a bunch of dents in the side of the frame rail. You know, by prying on it and put a dent in the side of the frame rail, that would be very cool. Then I gotta fix a dent. There we go. Chips are hot. There we go, we got one off. And it'll be the same for the other side. A little better view of what's going on here is we got the spot welds drilled out and it left a little divot. So we're gonna weld those back up and then we'll grind all that down smooth because that coilover mount comes right in here. Okay, I got the MIG welder over here. I'm gonna MIG weld up some of these holes and so we can get them buffed off. And you can use anything you want to clean these up, but I've got die grinders and stuff like that. But on something like this, I think the big heavy grinder here just does it faster with I got a 60 grit flat wheel on here right now. It'll just smooth it out real nice and it won't burn up a bunch of abrasives and it won't take very much time. porosity in a few of those welds, so I'm going to go back and hit them again. Now I'm going to take the right angle grinder and kind of find these out. Now that I got this all smoothed up, there's a few imperfections that we can mess with when we go for doing our finish work in here, but for right now, for just getting this mocked up, this is plenty good, because I don't know what else I'm going to have to do. So now I'm going to go over to the other side and do the exact same thing and get both sides matching. Alright, it's a little bit dark on this side, but we got everything all stripped down and ground off. I do need to still grind the welds, or weld the welds holes up on the bottom, but the car's on a rotisserie and I can flip it up to do that. I really just want to get this suspension bolted up there and see if I need to cut or grind anything else. So I think what I'm going to do is pick up some tools, sweep up a little bit, and then I'm going to try to bolt that K-member up. This kit requires the factory K-member bolts that have a shouldered 3/4 inch shoulder that engages the hole in the K-member. I don't have them here right now, so I just went to the hardware store and bought some 5/8 bolts, just so we can put the thing up there. When I get the right K-member bolts, I'll switch them out. Something else I want to do is this thing's got really nice powder coat on it. So I want to kind of wrap this part that might fall down onto that rotisserie, not fall, but might touch the rotisserie or something. I just want to wrap a few of these spots and kind of protect them a little bit, so that we don't scratch up this nice powder coat. So I put some tape on some of the spots, the lowest spots, and then also this foam came with some of the parts came wrapped in this foam, so I just tore a piece of that off and taped it on there, just because this middle part is going to line directly up with the bottom of the center bar of the rotisserie, and I might need to rest it on there to try to get some of this bolted up. Well, I got my bolts ready, and I'm going to try to get this thing in here by myself. We'll see what happens. that looks pretty good up in there. I don't know. I'm sure it's right, but it seems weird that the motor mount positions are in different spots. But yeah, that thing bolted right up. They talk about maybe having to put a shim in here because this bolts through to the other side with some long bolts, and we may end up putting a piece of plate on there and TIG welding it just to stiffen that area up. These frame rails aren't very thick. You know, I mean, they're basically like darn near 20 gauge. So I don't know, we may put a plate on there to make that fit a little tighter and TIG weld it and kind of strengthen that area up. I don't know, but yeah, that went on there pretty cool. So now we got to do all the different sub-assemblies, control arms and stuff like that. But yeah, it's on there. Well guys, I think that's going to do it for part one. I need to lay some bolts out and look at the instructions, and I want to get some sub-assemblies built. I want to put the springs on the shocks and get them all set up, and I want to get the control arms built, the heim joints and the control arms and stuff like that, and do some more stuff like that. So in part two, we're going to put all of the pieces on this thing, including the rack and the spindles and all that stuff, and maybe put on the brakes. Thanks guys, like and follow.